What makes the economy thrive? It's not just money in circulation, it's actually how fast money moves. And this is called the velocity of money. This is a term and an idea I don't think gets addressed enough in the financial space. And something I want to dig in here because it's actually one of the quickest ways to snowball wealth, and it takes the least amount of money, which is counterintuitive. Okay. So if I were to tell you, you could start with an initial amount of capital and then never have to use any more, but yet continue to grow and grow and grow your money, that's a snowball, right? It just keeps growing on itself. And that's how the velocity of money works. And I'm just surprised it's not discussed more often, or it doesn't come up as naturally as a lot of these other topics in finance come up. So let's dive in, right? Really what this is the velocity of money is a measure of how quickly a single dollar can change hands in a given time. So the faster that money moves and changes hands, the more economic activity it generates. So let's take an example. Let's say that you go and you borrow $100, okay? And you go and you spend that at a restaurant, okay? And then that restaurant takes the $100 and they use that to go place an order for more food. And then that food producer takes that same $100 and then they go and they spend it on fertilizer, right, for their food. And then that fertilizer company goes and spends it on gas at the gas station so that he can use this and spread the fertilizer. And then the gas station takes that $100 and uses that to, buy more gas, or whatever it is, right? That's that's $100, but you can see that was put into use 6, 7, 8 times. I don't know how many times I said in that example, but it's numerous times, all with the same amount of money, right? That's the velocity of money. So it's not just $100. $100 could be used a ton of different times, over and over and over and over again. What if you could find a way to accomplish the same thing with your own money, your own finances, okay? So let's take that idea and we're going to apply it to a few different investments, okay? And we're going to look at the ways that it does work in your favor, and we're going to look at the ways that it does not work in your favor, okay? So let's start with the most traditional investment, okay? And let's just say you save money and you get put it in a 401k. Let's say you've got $100,000. You put that in. Now that grows over time, but that initial capital, what does it do? It sits. It does not move. It sits there. I get it that it grows and there's compounded interest, but it sits. Now we're going to take a different example, okay? And we're going to look at, let's say, real estate. And in this case, you could take $100,000, okay? Now, what can happen is that if you do a BRRRR strategy, a buy, rehab, rent, and repeat, there's ways to get that $100,000 back quickly and start the game all over again. So what I mean by that is that's the velocity of money. Let's say you have to put $100,000 down on a down payment for a property, and this property appraises out at $400,000. All right, or let's just say $300,000, okay? But it takes $100,000 worth of rehab, okay, to be able to sell at that price. So you put $100,000 in, you go to a hard money lender, they give you $100,000, which you owe them. Yeah, and there's interest and all that on it. You owe them that money, but you take the money, and after you purchase the house, you update it. You spend the $100,000 to update the property. Now, that house is now worth $300,000. What you then do is you go to the bank and then you put traditional financing on the property, okay? The bank says, you have $300,000 and we're gonna give you 75% loan to value, right? So what they say is we're gonna give you back $225,000, right? The 75 has to stay in the property, but the 225 we give you back. With that 225, you take 100, you pay that hard money lender back, okay? Let's say that leaves you with 125. That 100 pays itself off. You actually walked out of that deal with more money than you put in because you paid yourself back and you have an extra $25,000 in your pocket. You still own the asset. Let's say you rent it out for $3,000 a month to somebody, okay? So now you've got a property that cash flows and you got money back. So now you have $125,000 to go buy another property. And you see how that original $100,000 you can then use again and again and again and again. That's the difference with velocity of money, the way to rinse and repeat the same capital over and over. 401k does not allow you to do that. The money goes in and it sits. In real estate, money can also go in and it can sit. If you just do a buy and hold and you put the capital in and you put traditional financing on the front end and then you just let it sit, that principal stays in the property. It doesn't move. You're not rinsing and repeating it. Yes, I get it. There's appreciation and the rents can go up and all that kind of stuff. But that same capital just sits there. So what we need to do is be very mindful of the investments that we make and identify opportunities in which the ability to have velocity of money operates. So in that example, real estate, if you do value adds, you have the ability to do that. If you do traditional buy and holds, that's more of a store of value, right? In business, let's go with an e-commerce business. You go and you put an initial amount of money into the property or into buying your first product. That starts to sell, and then that generates profit. And what do? You put it back in to buy more inventory, and then that creates more profits. And then what do? You launch a second product, okay? You never put more money in. You put an initial 10, 15, 20, $50,000 in, but it just rinses and repeats. You launch more products and those become profitable. And then that buys you the next product launch and the next product launch. And all of a sudden you took an initial amount of capital and you have a 10x, 30x, 50x return on your money. This is something I think it's overlooked. So in real estate, you can rinse and repeat. In business, owning a business, if you reinvest that money properly, that can generate you income on initial capital. Just be very mindful, right? If there is a store of value, meaning you put the money in and it stays there, my recommendation is that I think the cost of money is the S&P 500 return, because that's kind of the baseline. You need to be able to outrun that and inflation. And right now, I believe the only way to do that is with Bitcoin. It's the only true store of value. Highest performing store of value. So if you're ever going to put your money just to sit, Bitcoin is, in my opinion, the place to do that. Otherwise, you have real estate, and you have business, and you've got, even with other investments, let's say real estate syndication, you're not operating them, but you give money in and you get a return on your money, let's say like a 7% return on your money. And then when the company goes to refinance, they give you return on your capital, so you get the 50 grand back, but you're still in the deal, you're getting the cash flow, and then you just go ahead and put that into the next deal, right? So now you're into two deals with the same initial capital, and that can snowball, the same thing. Figure out, identify the areas that you can invest where money, the initial capital, can snowball, because the money never becomes the resistance. That's what we always think is, I got to save money to invest in a 401k. I got to save money to invest in real estate. That's not always the case. There are ways to do it, to have initial capital and continue to rinse and repeat over and over and over again and snowball. So something to keep in mind. Take a look at the velocity of money. There's not a ton of stuff out there, but I think it gets overlooked. So don't sleep on this. Hit like and subscribe below, and let's put that money to work. And a snowball can turn into an avalanche, and it can cause a lot of big stuff to happen. So go make that happen.